games available on demand.
Much of the college world has been buzzing around California's Fair Pay to Play Act, which has been signed into law. It makes it illegal for California universities to revoke an athlete's scholarship or eligibility for taking money or hiring agents to seek business deals. Athletes will not be paid by the schools. The new law will not go into effect until January of 2023, and many coaches, administrators, and league commissioners have expressed concern over the new law, including NCAA President Mark Emmert. At this moment, we welcome in Tim Tebow joining us. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, glad to be here, always.
Absolutely. And Tim, just want to start with you. What impact could this new law have on college sports?
Well, I think it's already had a huge impact in college sports. I think it's going to have an even bigger impact, but there's so many question marks out there. What about other states? Florida's trying to pass one that would go into effect in 2020. That would change everything, and the NCAA would have to figure out so much in just a year's time. North Carolina's trying to pass a federal bill. Anthony Gonzalez, a senator, formerly a receiver at Ohio State, he's trying to bring a bill to the legislation. So there's so many things up in the air that we really have to figure out what is going to happen, how are some states going to be able to figure this out, and what are we going to do as a whole for everyone in college football, not just the states that have passed it or that are trying to pass it. So I think so much is in the air, but it's definitely creating change.
Tim, how do you feel about the argument made by Gene Smith from Ohio State, the athletic director there, and others on behalf of the NCAA talking about this is too difficult, it's opening a Pandora's box, we don't like it at all, even though the schools are obviously not going to be allowed to pay athletes. What do you think about their positions, their resistance?
Well, I don't know Mr. Smith's argument exactly. I haven't heard what he's had to say, but I think a little bit of that narrative is kind of understanding it's a slippery slope, and where does it end? I totally get the side of the argument that the athletes have to be supported and taken care of in a great way, and they deserve that. But at the same way, we have to figure out as a whole for college football to be able to make it fair for all the teams, for all the universities. And I think there's a lot of people that are nervous right now because change makes people nervous. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We have to figure out how this change is going to be able to affect college football. And I'm anxious to see what's going to happen here. So much is up in the air, and then the thing is, how does it trickle down to high school? Are we now taking the same logic and bringing it to high school players? And are we getting agents to pay for high school players? And then we're getting boosters to pay for them to come to your school? And so does pay for play in college turn to pay for play in high school and coming to your school? So I just think all those things need to be talked about. I think it's important to see both sides. On one side, we need
is one of those perfect is the enemy of the good arguments, right? Like, oh, it may not be perfect. Well, right, but the system's not perfect now. The system's unfair to certain schools now, right? And when you talk about like what's going to happen in high school, that's not college's business. That's high school's business. And even in terms of like what are we going to do? Actually, it's the NCAA that's going to have to react if they have bylaws that are against the law.
But I totally hear that argument, Max. I totally get it. And I see that side, too. I think it's important to try to see both sides. So let's say there's a great player. He has a game, 4 games in a row where he kills it to start the year. And then a booster says, hey, if you come here, we're going to give you this, this, and this, and you're going to get 5 endorsements worth this much money. Now he's going to stop playing, maybe redshirt, like we see De'Aaron King doing right now, and then switching schools because he's going to go where the money is. And that's never been the goal in college football. While I understand it's important to be able to support yourself and be able to take care of yourself and your family, which a lot of kids want to do, I totally understand that. But we have to be able to balance it. I think it's important to be able to see the other side as well, that college has always been more than just about the money. It's been about the education. It's been about the tutoring. It's been about learning how to develop, and I think that's important to me because there's also you could also take the look of
Tim,
so yeah, go ahead, Stephen A.
The reason why I need to interject is because I'm sure you would agree that Florida, University of Florida, is a better school than most schools. You know, all things are not created equal.
I think so.
So I think
That's
you would
true.
say that, right? So all things are not created equal. So I guess what I'm asking is, what's the aversion to reminding ourselves that we do live in a capitalistic society, that some situations are better than others, and to the victors goes the spoils? We're not in a socialist nation. We're in a capitalistic society. What's wrong
totally
with
agree with that,
acknowledging,
and
what's wrong with telling college students and reminding them about the world that awaits them once they graduate from college?
No, I totally get that, and I understand that, but I think you also have to understand the side. You brought up the University of Florida. The football program at Florida pays for 19 other sports for men's and women's. Basketball takes care of itself, but Florida has 21 programs. And if you cut some of that budget, then now we have to look at all these other teams, the soccer, the lacrosse team.
And I got to
be honest, that's where a lot of schools are nervous on both sides. So I think it's important to see that side of the argument as well.
If the school, it's important to the school, they should pay for it. They shouldn't make other athletes pay for it.
Absolutely.
It's a long discussion.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. And
of course,
to all
guys.
of our fans,
Yeah, with the short sleeve shirty, enjoying the sunshine yet again, just rubbing it in.
Thank you for watching First Take. Don't miss it. Opening week of the NBA. It's in LA.
Bye, Tim.
Bye, Tim.
Bye. Get out of here with that warm weather.
David and Carrie here.